The rim of the glass was cool against my fingertips, a thin ring of condensation sliding under my thumb as the jasmine gadra in my hair brushed my neck. I watched her, Naina, glide past and lightly brush the edge of my drink with her ring finger, almost like dusting away an invisible speck. Music thumped from the Sanjeet Hall, lights flickered gold, but in that second the air smelled sharply of cardamom and something metallic. If I was wrong, I would look like a paranoid mother in her own son's celebration. If I was right, staying quiet would be the safest thing I ever did. Backhand index pointing right, smash that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I shifted my breath, turned slightly, and without a word placed my glass where hers rested. Then I walked back to my chair, my smile steady, my heart very still. I am Mira, 51, a school teacher. I teach small children how to read, how to say sorry without fear, and how to share the last biscuit. At home, I mentored my only son, Arjun. He is 26, tall like his father, and honest in a way that makes me proud and nervous at the same time. We lived in a small 2-bedroom flat that still smells of sandalwood and old books. My husband, Rajesh, passed away 6 years ago. Life broke quietly. I stitched blouses on weekends to make up for school holidays, and I learned how to fix a leaky tap with a hairpin and patience. Money and I became careful friends. Koali hoth si by roti ban sakti hai if you value flour. Then Arjun fell in love with Anya. Sweet, educated, from a family that had more cars than we had chairs. I liked her. She called me Ma with a softness that reminded me of the way newborns grip your finger without knowing what it is. Her family lived in a duplex with a small terrace garden. Her father was polite. Her mother was distant, the way some people are when they are afraid of failing at kindness. And then there were my in-laws, my husband's brother, Vikram, and his wife, Naina. They lived close by and liked to say they managed family matters. Naina carried herself like the world was a stage, and her smile was the only light. I think she believed I needed managing. She had a way of straightening napkins and conversations until they matched her taste. The wedding prep started with a bang, menus, lights, planners, decorators. I brought out my old red border sari, ironed it smooth, and tucked the pallu with a neat pin. I kept a small notebook of expenses: turmeric 20, marigold strings 120, midi boxes 1,800. I wrote in neat handwriting, like notes to my future self. Save receipts. Everyone wanted the wedding to be grand. I just wanted it to be honest. And in the middle of all the shopping and tasting and smiling, I started to see a small crack forming under the paint of good manners. A moral fault line. Greed is quiet at first. It wears gold and calls itself planning. It began with comments like, "Mira Jai, this flat is too small for Arjun now that he is marrying. He should move." Or, "Why keep old things? Sell, upgrade, you deserve comfort." The way they said comfort felt like stitches too tight at the waist. Naina loved to say practical. She used that word the way some use pepper, too much to hide the lack of salt. I am old-fashioned, maybe. I believe a home is a memory cupboard. You don't throw a cupboard because a handle is loose. You fix the handle. Still, weddings open doors and drawers. Few people see. I tried to keep grace in one pocket and boundaries in the other, but I could feel the two fighting for space. It happened the day we went to finalize the caterer. I sat with my notebook, checking the curry options and listening to the young man talk about signature dishes. The word signature was everywhere that week. "Mira Jai," Naina purred, sitting beside me, sliding a sheaf of papers across the table. "Just some formalities, so we can pay vendors faster. You know, big functions need smooth signatures." She laughed lightly, like coins in a glass. I looked at the top sheet. It was a blank form printed in small, impatient font. The word consent appeared. The second page mentioned authority to transact. The third, family property. The words felt cold on my fingertips. "This is for the caterer," I asked. "Overall arrangements," she smiled. "You don't worry. Vikram Jai and I will handle all. We just need to show unified decision-making. It's easier if you allow us to sign on your behalf for little things. Practical, nah." My stomach tightened. I closed my notebook. "I would like to read this at home," I said quietly. The waiter came with a tray. Everyone spoke at once. The moment passed like a bus you watch from the sidewalk. Then, in front of a cousin and a decorator, she said warmly, "Mira Jai is very simple, you know. She doesn't understand these big words. We'll explain later." Simple. The word sat against my ribs like a small stone. That evening, as I made dal tadka, I realized what I heard under the laughter: entitlement. That genteel confidence that I would be gentle, that I would sign because it was convenient for others if I did. I washed the yellow dal pot slowly, and I set my pen back in its cup with the nib pointing at the wall, like a soldier facing the door. Wedding functions are like rivers, they carry everyone forward. The Sanjeet night was at a club hall. "Theme is gold," the planner said. I wore a cream sari with a thin gold border, my hair in a bun with a jasmine gadra I bought from the flower market early morning. The smell stayed with me all day, sweet, clingy, reminding me of older evenings. Halfway through sound checks, Naina took my elbow. "Mira Jai, you sit here, okay? You must be tired, leave the rounds to us." She guided me to a chair near the back. Her bangles clicked like tiny clocks. "I'm fine," I smiled. "I will just check the tea." No, she said. "Older ladies should enjoy, we have staff." Older ladies? I am not a child to be parked near the handbags. I took a slow breath and sat. Arjun was on stage practicing a surprise dance for Anya. His eyes were happy. I kept my eyes on him, the way you do when the road ahead is unfamiliar and you are searching for a familiar sign. That week my purse gathered small slips of paper. Bus tickets, a thread receipt, a grocer's chit where the man wrote "Mira teacher paid." At night, after stitching a peach blouse for someone else's mehendi, I counted notes quietly. 500, 200, 50. I pressed a 10-rupee coin into my diary like a leaf. At Vikram's house one afternoon, over chai, I tasted a bitter note. Maybe it was the tea leaves. Maybe it was the conversation. "We talked," Vikram said, stirring loudly. "Arjun can take our spare floor after wedding. Why keep him in that old building, Han? Ceiling leaks every monsoon." "Not leaks now, I fixed," I said softly. My spoon clinked once. "Don't be emotional," Naina smiled, passing me a plate. "Be practical, sell the flat, good time in market. We will handle paperwork for Arjun's future." She said future like a promise kept in someone else's cupboard. I set the cup down. I didn't drink anymore. "Arjun and Anya will decide," I said. "I will support them." "Of course," she said in a tone that means the opposite. 2 days later, a decorator's car dropped a large hamper at my home. Bath salts, candles, a small envelope tucked inside. The envelope looked like a card. It was not. It was a draft agreement, not from a vendor, giving consent to manage sale of residential property. My name was typed. Someone had folded the corner like they were rehearsing my signature. I kept the envelope under the spice box, next to the tiny jar of fennel seeds. That night I could not sleep. The fan made a low whir. The light from the corridor slipped under my door like a memory. I told myself, maybe they are just being pushy. Maybe they want control. Maybe I am suspicious because I have not slept well. But then I remembered the smell of cardamom and metal when she brushed my glass. Why would cardamom smell like metal? At a rehearsal dinner, a young cousin tried to hand me a health drink. I laughed and said, "Boz, not now, water is fine." The boy shrugged and drank it himself, then grimaced like it was too strong. Later, Naina chided him, "That was not for you." Her voice was too tight for a harmless tonic. Loneliness is not only about sitting alone. It is also the feeling when you cannot tell your child everything, or when you choose not to protect their joy. Arjun was happy, busy with playlists and friends and a new Sherwani. "Ma, please you rest," he said. "Don't stress. Everything is under control." Under whose control? I said nothing. I am his mother. I learned long ago that you cannot keep rain off your child's wedding day by scolding the clouds. You carry an umbrella and keep dry clothes ready. The week stretched me thin. A blouse seam I stitched at midnight broke the next day, and I re-sewed it with double thread. Those small acts are what saved me, cutting bindi evenly, warming leftover roti over direct flame, writing "Call Bank Monday" on a paper stuck to the fridge with a weak magnet. And then we came to the day of the Sanjeet. It was the afternoon before the Sanjeet when I walked into the kitchen at Vikram's place to pick up the serving spoons I had lent. The kitchen door was slightly open. I don't like to listen to what is not spoken to me, but some words drag you in. Ek glass baz, thoda sahai, she will be calm, Naina whispered. She will rest. Then we will finish signatures with notary, no drama. Notary is waiting in the car itself, Vikram muttered. We cannot keep delaying. The buyer is ready. Buyer? My hands went cold on the steel spoon. My phone was in my hand, and by some small grace, the voice recorder had been on since morning to remember a shopping list. I kept standing a full minute, my breath slow. Their voices floated in and anchored. She can sign now, or she will sign later with Arjun's pressure after wedding, someone else said, maybe a planner or cousin. But if she signs now, it will be easier. Make sure she drinks in front, Naina said. No mistake like last time. Last time, my cup of chai. I do not remember walking back down the corridor. I do remember counting steps. 12 to the sofa, 3 to the door, brass handles slightly sticky. Outside, the sky looked like it was thinking about rain. I had proof of a sort, not a cinema dialogue, not a smoking gun, a living whisper, and an envelope under my spice box. That changed the balance. I was not a helpless elder. I was a woman with a pen, a voice note, and a reason to stay very, very quiet. I went home and took out the old file box Rajesh had used for his share certificates. Inside were birth certificates, electricity bills, the ration card with my picture when my hair was longer. I put my property papers inside a cloth sleeve and breathed like a person steadying the needle before the first stitch. The power in the room shifted for me that day. They thought I was soft. They were right. Soft is not weak. A pillow can suffocate if you misuse it. A shawl can hide a dagger. I had neither dagger nor desire to hurt. I had something better, time and process. I went to see our neighbor, Mrs. Javery, a retired clerk from the registrar's office. She walked slowly and spoke, as if each word needed to be placed correctly on a shelf. Don't accuse anyone, she said, after listening to my calm summary. You will make loud doors close. Instead, open quiet windows. How? I asked. Make a simple declaration at the registrar. No document related to your flat is valid unless you appear in person and sign before the registrar with 2 witnesses of your choosing. You can do this, like a caution note. Then, write a simple will. You keep full rights while you live. After you, it goes to Arjun. No rush, but file it. Keep certified copies in 2 safe places. We did that the next day. No brand names, no drama. Just a clean form, 2 neighbors as witnesses. My old colleague, Priya, and the milkman who has seen me water plants at 6 a.m. for 10 years. I left 1 sealed copy with Priya, 1 with my bank locker, and 1 in a cloth cover behind the cooker at home. I also told the banquet manager, a plain man with a sincere shirt, that there had been a possible food sensitivity last time I attended. I requested that any drinks sent to me be sealed, and that a tiny 30 ml sample of the punch be kept in the kitchen fridge marked Mira. I told him it was for an allergy check, nothing more. He nodded, practical and kind. Then I called Arjun and asked him casually what he wanted most at the wedding. No fights, he laughed. Lots of dancing, and you smiling. Done, I said, and I meant it honestly. I packed my sari blouse and a little file of important papers in my handbag. I added a small journal, a blue pen, and a lemon candy. The candy was for me, for courage. People drink for courage. I prefer sugar. I told no one that I had a voice recording. I told my phone to back up my audio to the cloud, in case the device fell or got lost. I took a small deep breath and told my heartbeat it had company. Finally, I wrote a note on a plain card and left it inside my file. I am sound of mind. I have not authorized any person to sign on my behalf. If in doubt, call Priya, number. I signed and dated it. I did not know if I would need it, but sometimes paper is what peace wears to official meetings. And then we came back to the night with the cold glass and the jasmine. The hall smelled of marigold and perfume, of 100 people wearing their best laughter. Waiters carried trays of sparkle drinks, The DJ tested bass. A group of cousins filmed each other. I stood near a pillar, adjusting my pallu. Naina floated in, sparkling sari, perfect hair. She glided to the bar, spoke to the bartender, and then drifted back toward the family circle, 2 glasses in her hands. She offered me one. "For Ma," she sang. "Just a sip, it's very light." As she moved, her ring finger brushed the rim. It looked accidental. It was not. The smell was wrong, something like old metal under the sweet. I took the glass. I smiled. I reached for the tray behind me, placed my glass down for a moment, picked up hers, and lifted it to my lips. "To family," I said, not drinking, just letting the rim touch my lower lip to make it look real. Then I handed my former glass back to her with a little nod. "To practical planning," I added mildly. She blinked, then laughed, and took a sip of the glass I had set down a second earlier. 15 minutes passed. The dance started. Arjun looked like spring. Naina swayed, smiled, then steadied herself on the back of a chair. Her eyes fluttered. She sat. Someone fetched water. She waved away hands like flies. "What happened?" Vikram hissed, bending low. "Baz thoda chakar," she whispered, face turning pale under the highlighter. I lifted my file from my bag and walked to the hall manager. "Can we call a first aid person? Quietly," I asked. He nodded. A doctor from the nearby clinic came, sensible, used to 2 sweet drinks and 2 tall heels. He checked her pulse. Her words slurred a little. My heart did not dance, it did not sing. It just stood on its feet calmly. "Seems like a mild sedative effect," the doctor said softly to the family. "Maybe in the drink. Did anyone else have the same punch?" The manager, who had quietly kept out the sample I requested, offered it. I did not look at anyone. I kept my eyes on a small burn mark on the carpet where a dia had likely dropped earlier. Vikram blustered. "What are you saying? It's nothing. She is just hungry." I spoke then, without raising my voice. "It might be best to ask the bartender to keep all drinks aside for now, and please call the notary waiting outside. He should go home." Silence is a bridge that can carry heavy truth. Everyone looked at me. "How do you know?" Vikram started, then stopped. "I heard it," I said, still gentle. "In your kitchen earlier. I am older, not deaf. Please do not spoil my son's function with more lies." Naina tried to stand, then sat down quickly, eyes wet. The doctor suggested she rest in the lounge. 2 aunties took her carefully, their bangles sounding like rain. I turned to Vikram. "No one will sign anything tonight," I said. "Not from weakness, not from hunger, and even if someone tried, it would not work. I have already placed a note with the registrar. Nothing without me, in person, in daylight." Arjun appeared then, breathless, having heard only the last lines. "Ma," he asked, afraid. I touched his hand. "All okay, Beta, dance, this is your evening." Something happened. His eyes searched mine. "People sometimes forget boundaries when lights are bright," I said. "We will put them back in the morning, quietly." The manager spoke into a small walkie-talkie. The music softened. The doctor confirmed Naina needed rest. Someone whispered sedative. Someone else whispered allergy. The waiting notary left, unneeded and uninvited. Vikram stood small in that big hall. He tried to smile. "Misunderstanding," he said. "Too much stress, preparations, you know." I nodded. "Yes, let us not add to it." A cousin murmured, "But consent forms," then stopped at my expression. It was not anger, it was tired dignity. I took my file out carefully and handed Vikram a copy of my caution note. "For your records," I said, because vocabulary can be used by both sides. Arjun looked at me with 100 questions. I gave him one answer that would not ruin his night. "We will talk tomorrow," I said. "Tonight, we dance." And we did, not to deny truth, to claim joy. The room relaxed. The cousins came back to the floor. Anya's father shook Arjun's hand. Life carried on like rivers do, but the banks were different now. The day after, we sat at my dining table, the old one with a wobble on the left leg. I made ginger tea. I added extra ginger. The air smelled alive. Vikram and Naina came with no jewelry, no perfume, just silence. Naina's eyes were red. "I am sorry," she said. "We thought," and then she stopped. She was smart enough to leave the sentence empty. "I know what you thought," I said. "I know what fear can do when it wears greed's clothes, but this is my home. It is not a problem to be solved by quick signatures and sleepy elders." Vikram looked at Arjun. "We wanted the best for you," he said. Arjun kept his face calm. "The best is honesty," he replied, simple, his father's son. I did not shout. I did not list their sins like grocery items. I placed 3 cups on the table and a 4th in case someone extra came. Kindness is my habit, not my weapon. "We will not sell the flat," I said. "If Arjun and Anya want to live elsewhere, they will later with their own planning. I have written my will. I will live here as long as I want. After me, it is his, not yours to arrange. The keys stay with me." I slid the small tray of namkeen toward them. Naina did not touch it. She cried softly. I put a tissue near her elbow. She took it. She whispered, "I made mistakes." "Humans do," I said, "and families do not need to become courtrooms to correct them." We did not talk about the drink. We did not talk about the voice note. We talked about the wedding, simple, lovely, a little smaller now by choice. We canceled the showy fireworks. We kept the shane. We kept halwa at breakfast and laughter at lunch. On the wedding day, I tied Anya's dupatta softly at the back as her mother watched with a careful smile. Naina came late, stood in the back, and left early. I packed a small tiffin of dal and rice that evening and sent it to her through a neighbor. No note, no message, just warm food. A small act of grace so my heart would not warp under the weight of victory. This is an emotional story, yes, but mostly it is a real-life story about not choosing melodrama. It is about family drama that could have turned poisonous but didn't, because I chose silence when it protected, and I chose speech when it mattered. I learned this. Set boundaries in the calm of morning so you don't have to raise your voice in the storm of evening. Trust your gut, prepare your papers, keep your dignity, and when someone brushes your drink, watch their hands as much as their smile. If this story spoke to you, leave a like and a comment. Subscribe for more calm, real-life stories that sit with you like evening tea and tell you you're not alone.